This week we have the culmination of our redemption from Mitzrayim. We get to the Yam Suf, we get to the sea, we have nowhere to go, we are stuck. What do? Nachshon jumps in and the sea splits and all the Egyptians drowned. In the middle of this wonderful song that we sing, the Shira, that we sing in Az Yashir, there's a phrase, there's a verse, and it says, Ze Keli ve'anvehu. This is my God, and I will ve'anvehu. And there's a difference of opinion. What does it mean, ve'anvehu? So literally means I will beautify him. But the Gemara in Shabbos tells us, anvehu is actually two words, ani vehu, me and him. I will be like him. Ani vehu have a domelo. I should be similar to Hashem in my actions, the same way he acts with ultimate kindness. I have to reflect that in my actions. The elephant brings from Rav Chaim Shmulevitz that Rashi says that even a maid serpent, even a shivcha, she was able to see things that even the greatest prophet, Yecheskel ben Buzi, was not able to see. Ra shivcha aliyah mashalei ra Yecheskel ben Buzi. But we know her to be a maidservant. She remained a shivcha. He explains that Ze Keli, you have this ultimate revelation. This is my God. You can point to it so clearly. It's palpable. Hashem in this world, which is so hard to find so much of the time, is now palpable. They see Ze Keli, this is my God in a personal way. You have a personal relationship to Hashem. However, if it doesn't translate into Ve'anvehu, that I will be similar to him, my actions will reflect his actions, so then the experience remains an experience and it doesn't become transformative. The elephant brings that Avram Avinu, we know he was visited by Hashem after the Bris Milah, and he saw guests. So he told the Shekhinah, one second, I'll be right back, and he went out to find the guests, and he came back, and the Gemara tells us greater is receiving guests, greater is Achnas Orchim, even greater than the Shekhinah. Because look, he went out to find guests and left the Shekhinah there. So how do we understand that? So he said that when Avram Avinu had such a revelation of Hashem coming to visit him, right away that was put into practice, put into action, his good character traits. He went right away to find guests. Because having a transformative and inspirational experience is only as good as what happens afterwards. And if there's no actions and no improvement after the experience, then just like the shivcha, just like the maidservant, so too a person will remain inspired. That'll last for a little bit, and then it'll go away. Before they actually went and crossed the Yam Suf, they davened to Hashem. They screamed out, "V'yitzaku b'nei Yisrael al Hashem," and then right away, the next verse says, they complained, "Are there no graves in Egypt? You could have killed us there. Why'd you bring us out to the desert to kill us?" So it says, "Vayitzaku el Hashem," that they cried out to Hashem. So Elya Baruch Finkel points out that Rashi says they cried out to Hashem. They went with the craftsmanship, the umnus. They went with what their forefathers did. Their forefathers were stuck. They prayed, so too they're going to pray. However, it's very confusing because the next verse, they complain, "You're trying to kill us over here. You could have buried us in Egypt." So he brings that some understand Rashi that it's actually detrimental. It's saying something disparaging about the Jewish people. Their prayer was only that which their forefathers did. It wasn't a prayer coming from a deep place and so internal. Rather, it was more like lip service. And that's why the same people that just prayed, the next verse, are complaining to Moshe Rabbeinu about going back to Mitzrayim, going back to Egypt. We often do things that our parents did, our grandparents did, our teachers did, and we imitate them. We do things like they do. However, we have to make sure that we internalize it and our actions come from an internal place and not an external place. However, he does bring, and if I remember correctly, the Mir Mashgiach, Rabbi Yerucham, he says it's actually a very positive thing about Bnei Yisrael, that when a Jew is stuck, the first thing you do is you scream out to Hashem. That's what they do. And that's what was ingrained in our DNA from the forefathers. The next pasuk says they complained. You're right. A Jew can be somebody who cries and cries out to Hashem, and the next moment it could be hard, so you could complain. But it doesn't take away from the tremendous merit that they had of crying to Hashem when they're stuck. He's supposed to be the go-to address. He's supposed to be the first one that we turn to when we're in need. So both the idea of putting into action our inspiration and imitating Hashem and making sure that we imitate, but from an internal place. We internalize those things that we saw by our parents, we saw by our Rebbeim, our role models, to make sure that it doesn't remain external lip service, but rather it remains internal. And hopefully through that, we continue having inspirational, godly experiences, which then become transformative in our lives. And we become people that are ve'an vehu, that are domelo, people that are similar to him, and that people that want to beautify this world with godliness. Good Shabbos.